Loading the .45 long Colt for a percussion revolver. William Hovey Smith, 2018. I'm the author of Extreme Muzzleloading. And here we're making an unusual adaptation by using a cartridge in a percussion pistol. This is Hovey Smith, the Backyard Sportsman. And what we're going to be about today is using this ancient Herter's press to reload the .45 long Colt for a percussion revolver. Now, if that sounds like a contradiction in terms, it frankly is. This is the Ruger Old Army revolver, and it is a percussion revolver, and right now it is loaded. What we're going to attempt to do is to use this conversion cylinder here to reload the .45 long Colt for this gun. Now, this cylinder allows you to use the .45 long Colt cartridges in this revolver, obviously, but you need to have the cylinder to be absolutely sure that your bullets will clear. This is why I waited until I actually had the cylinder in hand before I attempted to reload the cartridge, so I could correct this bullet length. When I got this old press, and this press was made in the 1950s, and at that time the Maytag repairman was the loneliest man in town, and you could buy an appliance and expect it to last 20 years. Those times are long gone. Nowadays we have a thing called planned obsolescence, and you're fortunate indeed if your appliances last 5 years, much less 20. When I got this, I did receive a large number of shell holders with it. This guy was a very active reloader, apparently. And these are very large and robust indeed. For example, this is the shell holder for a more modern press. Same cartridge, the shell holder for this press. I am a hunter, so I don't reload a large number of cartridges at the time. I don't produce hundreds of rounds. So this single stage press is just fine for that use. So we're going to show you exactly how we set it up and how we use it. There is no question about it. This is a beast of a press. And I have it mounted on this small table and 25 pounds of shot on the other end just to keep it stable. This sets the primer, and I have another one for a small rifle or pistol primer, and the one in it right now is obviously for the large. And so to put the shell holder in, you drop it into the holder, align it, and then tighten up these two rather robust Allen screws. Ain't nothing tiny about this thing, guys. No. So we now have the shell holder in there. And we can start affixing the dies. I have an empty case here, so we're going to put a little lube on it and try it and just see how it feels. So ultimately, it meets the press. I mean, this has to be moved up here. Okay, I'm going to say that's optimum, so we're going to cinch that one down. This is just a little close-up sequence of the deburring step. This is a process that you do only once, with brand new brass. You don't have to do this every time. And this particular brass happens to be Starline brass, and it's available in every caliber you can think of, just about. And I've used a lot of it in a lot of different cartridges, and it's been uniformly very excellent material. I'm only going to reload about 5 cases this first pass, just to make sure I've got the load right before I load up 100 of something I find out I later can't use. Because I'm a black powder guy and I've got it, I'm using boar butter as a lubricant on cases. There are case lubricants which are actually a little bit better, but this will work, and I see no reason to buy a special product just to run a few cases from time to time. As you have seen before, we've adjusted the sizing die, and so now we're just going to run the cases. You get a little feel as the case runs in and out of the die. So that step is done. So now we remove this die. The way this works, you run the die down and you put a case in the holder, run it back up, then place a primer here, push it in, you bring it up, and then that seats it into the primer pocket, and there you are. You have a reprimed cartridge. Now you can take it and check it, make sure it doesn't rock, that it is in fact all the way seated into the primer pocket. We're now going to adjust the bullet seating die. Our CBS provides 2 different seating plungers. This is for flat nose bullets, which we'll be using, and this one is for round nose. And they also provide a collet here, and so this screws into the collet and then screws into the die itself. This gives you another stop. Now we know from before that we want to go up pretty high on these dies, so somewhere about in there is where we want to start. When you're setting your dies on a single stage press, you want to make sure that this die is run all the way down until it actually contacts the top of your shell holder. That gives you an absolutely uniform length of stroke, so you don't over-seat the bullet. Now I've also left purposefully 1 case unprimed. So this is what we're going to be used to actually determine the bullet seating distance. So I'm going to run this up quite a bit. Okay. It certainly gives a good crimp. And it does seat below the mouth of the chamber, so yeah, this is about right. I can come up just a little bit. That should be about right. Yeah, that's certainly a good hard crimp. Yes, that is about optimum, right there. Okay, so now we know the length, so we can see if our powder charge will accommodate this load. The load I'm going to be attempting to assemble is 37 grains of 777 powder, which is exactly the same load I have in the black powder Ruger Old Army. So we'll see how it compares when loaded in a cartridge compared to just loaded as loose components in the cylinder. It's not possible to use that much powder. That load completely fills the case, and then we have some even left over. So that case will just not hold that much powder and seat a bullet as well. It's compressible, but it's not that compressible. So it looks like for 777, we're going to have to cut back considerably. That considerably turned out to be 25 grains of Hodgson's 777 with Kato Ojama's 255 grain bullet designed for the Ruger Old Army. Now here are the 2 cylinders and the loaded cartridges I produced. I am the author of Extreme Muzzleloading, as well as a number of other outdoor books that talk about handgun hunting. I mention it in Backyard Deer Hunting, for example. I also have a series of e-books. These include Muzzleloaders for Hunters, which has a section on pistols, more about hunting with handguns on hunting big and small game with muzzleloading pistols, and I have one in progress, Hunting with Muzzleloading Revolvers. My newest book is Create Your Own Job Security. Plan to start your own business at midlife. In today's uncertain economic environment, I believe that a person should start a whole series of businesses and have them ready so that about age 50, if he gets axed at work, he has something already well developed to fall back on. Now, the old Herter Supermodel press takes standard RCBS and other dies. Now, it'll load anything up to 12-gauge shot shell. Now, I'm also going to load some medium velocity loads with common smokeless powders and chronograph those, and there'll be a later video on that. For more information on my books, blogs, and more than 650 videos, you can go to my website, www.hoviesmith.com. Good hunting and good eating from the outdoors. Goodbye, and God bless.